Hello and thanks for joining us on Chasing the Dollar, brought to you by TAB Sportsbet. Well, this has become the show that you just can't afford to miss if you are having a bet at Wentworth Park. Tim Newbold, last week it was just one of those weeks, wasn't it?
Clearly you were punting on Saturday night, Benny, following the selections. But yeah, we did have a good night. Quaddie, best bet, best value. I had a really, really good night, one of the better nights I've had at Wentworth Park. So we've got cash in our kick this week.
Well, thanks for coming back. This week going to be the same as last?
We're hoping. There is a bit of value on the program and fairly confident of finding a couple of winners.
All right, we like the sound of that. Now let's call in with Matt Jenkins from TAB Sportsbet.
Thanks, Ben. Well, what about last Thursday night? The black caviar of the greyhound racing world, Miata, just beating Thrilling Brat. But what about this bet? Just before they jumped, $20,000 at $1.10 on Miata winning, and they would have been headed probably for the Scotch Bowl just after that. Of course, it just won by the smallest of margins, but plenty of fixed odds betting available again this weekend, and the punters certainly taking advantage of that. Looking at Friday night at Wentworth Park, there's a jackpot on the Big Six, just under $5,000, and make sure on Saturday night at Wentworth Park you have a crack at the first four in the first race of the night. $10,000 jackpot for that one. Go to tab.com.au.
All right, thanks, Matt. Thanks for coming back to have another go at Tim this week. We'll see how you go. Now, Tim, take us through race number 5.
I like number 2, Cool Icon. I would prefer him drawn wider on the track, but he's got 2 moderate beginners drawn on either side, so I think he's got a chance to begin and roll to the lead at the first turn. If he does, I think he'll have a couple of weaker greyhounds chasing him. He can run around 30 seconds. I think he'll win. Number 2, Cool Icon. Number 4, Norris Minor, returning to town for the first time in a long while. This is one of the other leaders in the race. If it happened to lead, it'll be pretty good odds and can run a cheeky race. Throw in number 3, He's So Shy, who's racing really consistently, and put it into the multiples.
Okay, well, in race number 6, Bye Bye Bucks goes around. Did the job for you last week, Tim. You're going again?
I think he's got a great chance, but I'm just steering away from him a little. I'm going with number 1, Things Missing. This greyhound is fresh, coming into it off a 5-week break. Mark Gatt trains. He'll have him prepared for a first-up hit-out. I don't really like him drawn on the inside because he does tend to shift a little, but there's plenty of pace in this race. I think he can settle 3rd or 4th or even 5th and run over the top of these. I think he's got a terrific chance, number 1, Things Missing. 4, Bye Bye Bucks. He did the right thing by us last week. He's got a fantastic chance, but he's just got to avoid a couple of runners on either side with good early pace. And 5, Entrust, who's going enormous as well. Throw in number 3 for the multiples. Likely leader, but very weak at the end.
Okay, we move on to the third leg of the quaddie. This is race number 7. They're at Wentworth Park this Saturday night, and it's a pretty open race, this one, Tim.
I'm looking for one of the early leaders in 5 or 4, Go Minnie Mouse and 1 Banana. Whichever greyhound does lead, I think will win. I'm going with 5, Go Minnie Mouse. Brilliant beginner, great early pace. I think she might be able to cross at the first turn. If she does, she'll just keep rolling, and she's got a fantastic chance. 1 Banana, as I said, early pace, will run a big race. And number 1, Banzai Karoma, will probably start favourite. He's going really well at the moment, but just lacks that early dash, but will be powering home at the end. If the leaders happen to come together, it is certainly the run-on greyhound, Banzai Karoma.
Let's get to race number 8. This is the final leg of the quaddie. A very nice little race, this one as well. And Tim, you are keen on one.
I like number 5, Captive. Awkwardly drawn in the centre. Some may say, I don't really think so. This is a good beginner, great early pace, and a centre tracker. I love backing greyhounds with those credentials at Wentworth Park, as they can drive into the first turn in the middle of the track, take control and keep rolling. Has clocked 29.86 at the track, scored in fantastic fashion last week, leading all of the way. I think it'll be winning number 5, Captive. Number 6, Bonita Banana, as a greyhound with early pace, will be competitive in the initial stages and has got a chance at rough odds. Throw in number 2, Addiction, who's well drawn over toward the inside.
Yeah, well, Tim, there certainly is a spring in your step this week. A little bit of confidence. You got right into those tips and gave him some conviction. That's what we like to see. That best bet tally we've been keeping, it continues to grow. We got up again last week, a great result. This week, where are we going?
Race 8, number 5, Captive, for the reasons I indicated earlier. I think he'll roll straight to the front and keep running along.
And the value got up again last week, I believe. What about this time?
Bad Girl Tilly in the 3rd race on the card, trained by Christy Sultana. Beautifully drawn wider out on the track for Mine to show really good pace. Is better probably drawn on the inside, but I think from box 8 at Wentworth Park might be able to cut across around the $3.50, $4 mark. Bad Girl Tilly will run a huge race.
One of the best young trainers in the business, Christy, doing her job out there. Now let's get to Matt Jenkins from TAB Sportsbet. A few jackpots around the place, Matt.
That's right, Ben. Once again, plenty of jackpots, and harness racing fans are in luck because at Tabcorp Park, Melton and Tabcorp Park, Menangle, there's a $10,000 jackpot on the first four for each and every race. So make sure you're having a crack at that this week. It was very successful last week. Got a cross meeting, Big Six here for Caulfield and Rose Hill as well, $50,000 on that one. And some good racing coming up, buffering the one they want in the BTC Cup, of course. That one's at Doomben, around about $2.30 at the moment. It'll jump the short price favourite, and I'll tell you another horse that will jump very, very short is Black Caviar, $1.04. We'll have plenty of other markets available as well, how far it'll win by as well. So can it break that record? I think its biggest margin probably around about that 6 lengths. So at the moment, $1.04 about Black Caviar. Going on in the sporting world at the moment, the EPL, the crunch end at the moment, Man City look like taking that one out there, $1.08. We've got to mark it up for next season as well. They've gone up the favourite at $2.35, all the usual suspects there. Man United just behind them at $2.75 as well. A double header in the rugby league this week there at Suncorp Stadium. Some good games coming up. The Broncos taking on Manly. The AFL, the Suns are the favourite for their first time in their short history, and a pretty short price favourite too, $1.38. They're taking on GWS, who have probably been better than we thought for this year so far. They've covered plenty of lines as well, so good luck to GWS this weekend. Do you want to win a BMW? Go to our website, tab.com.au. Trial our new website as well and check it out. Plenty of good features there, including black bookers, and of course you can take advantage of the functionality for cross sport and racing and super multi as well. So go check that out at the tab.com.au as well. And the number one club is now available in retail outlets in New South Wales. Visit your local TAB today and get all the details. But some plenty of good stuff happening at the moment at TAB Sportsbet. The number to call, 133 390.
All right, thank you, Matt. So before we go on the show, we have asked you on Facebook of late to ask any questions that you'd like to as we go through the course of a show, and a couple have come through this week, so we'll get into them. The first of them comes to us from Jeremy Steptoe. It is for you, Tim. When you look at a dog in the middle boxes, how do you judge if their pace will overcome the draw?
Well, just looking at their early pace and their early sections, how they begin and whether they muster speed after hitting the ground, and the greyhounds drawn around them, as I said earlier on in the card or in the program, in race 5, Cool Icon in box 2. It's got really good pace, but it's got moderate beginners drawn on its either side, so I think it can rush through and take the lead, even though it might be better drawn wider on the track. You've just got to look at the greyhounds boxed on either side and whether they can begin and really muster to take the lead.
All right, we've got a couple more questions. I'll read one of them. This is from Corey O'Donnell. A question for me: who is the best race caller in the business, both greyhounds and horse racing included in this discussion? Well, there's some fantastic young race callers coming through right around the place, and there's some really good ones at Sky. But I think Paul Ambrosoli, he does do the dogs admittedly at Wentworth Park, but he's the most accurate race caller that I have ever seen. And the way that he calls the dogs, well, he could switch to horse racing, he could do whatever he likes. The accuracy is what's important, and he gives a little bit of colour and flavour as well. So I think that PA's the man.
Oh, he's the king of the world, PA. He's the greatest greyhound caller we've ever heard and will ever hear. He is a freak. He won't mind me saying that, PA. But he is just a brilliant race caller. And, without a doubt, he's the best greyhound caller in the world. And he can call horse races really, really good. He's never really gone in that direction. He's had opportunities, but he wanted to stick with the dogs. He just loves greyhound racing.
Yeah, he certainly does. He is a big fan, and he is a great caller, PA. And hopefully he watches the show. I'm not sure how he goes with the internet, but he may well have a look at us here on Chasing the Dollar. You certainly have. Keep those questions coming through Facebook. But we'll talk to you next time on Chasing the Dollar.